Merci, professeur. L'AMCRA, le centre de connaissances concernant l'utilisation des antibiotiques et de l'antibiorésistance chez les animaux, est une organisation sans but lucratif, néanmoins soutenue fortement par les autorités fédérales et par des organisations sectorielles. Le centre a élaboré des recommandations sur l'utilisation prudente des antibiotiques à l'attention des vétérinaires. Monsieur le vice-président, c'est ce que va nous expliquer l'oratrice qui arrive.
The privilege to introduce Dr. Fabiana Dal Pozzo, doctor in veterinary medicine. She has a doctorate in veterinary epidemiology from the University of Bologna. From 2008 to 2016, she worked at the University of Liège, several research projects dealing with veterinary virology, epidemiology, emerging disease with an impact on public health and animal health. And she is now the coordinator of the Center of Knowledge about Antimicrobial Consumption and Resistance in Animals.
Thank you for inviting me. Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here today to talk about AMCRA and our realizations, many trends. So I have 15 minutes. I will try to be short and to present you indeed our main activities. So what is our mission? Is to prevent antibiotic resistance and to safeguard public health, animal health and animal welfare. So already since 2012 when we were created, we've had a One Health approach. What do we want to do? We want to achieve a reduction of antibiotic resistance. Why? Because this is the main driver behind the development and the distribution of antibiotic resistance. And we want to achieve a sustainable policy, antibiotic policy in veterinary medicine in Belgium. What do? We have many activities. I will talk about these activities so that how we will be clear later during my presentation. AMCRA was created in 2012. We are indeed a non-profit organization, but our activities are commissioned by the Belgian federal authorities, and we are working under the umbrella, I should say, of the Ministry of Public Health and the Ministry of Agriculture. We have an executive board which is composed by academics, veterinarians, farmers, feed producers, and yes, also the pharmaceutical industry. We work together with them because we prefer to have them on board instead of having against us. We are the engine of private-public initiatives and the main engine, I should say, for the policy, antibiotic policy in Belgium in veterinary medicine until now. So what are our main activities? We develop national guidelines for antibiotic use for veterinarians. We develop recommendations, advices for authorities and stakeholders. We have activities concerning awareness raising, and we develop vision plans with reduction targets and actions. And how do we do that? We do it when we have using evidence-based information. So, of course, scientific information is always the base for our recommendations, but we do not always have these evidences, so we look also for expert opinions. We look for recommendations already maybe existing at national or international level. We do use epidemiological information concerning AMU and AMR. And of course, we also have to take care that we give recommendations that are compatible or in line with current legislations at Belgian level and at European level or international level. So we do also have a unit which is responsible for the data analysis of antibiotic use and also for developing benchmarking and reporting of the antibiotic use at the farm level. So thanks to our work, nowadays veterinarians and farmers are receiving reports periodically 2 times per year, or sometimes also 4 times per year, concerning the antibiotic use at the farm level. So I will talk a little bit more about some of those activities. For example, the national guidelines for prudent use of antibiotics. We developed those guidelines in 2012 for 6 animal species. So we do not deal only with 1 species, but 6 species, the main food-producing species in Belgium, but also pets and horses. Those guidelines were developed thanks to the commitment of experts in the field, of course scientists, but also representatives of the pharmaceutical sector, clinics, veterinary clinics in Liège and in Ghent. And what we want to develop are guidelines which are of course evidence-based, but are also close to those people who had to use those guidelines. So we look for guidelines that are immediately applicable in the field. So this is really a challenge because we face also very lot of problems of access to antibiotics or shortages, or also antibiotics that are not available in the Belgian market compared to other markets, for example, in Europe. So those guidelines are yearly updated thanks to, for example, digging into the literature and seeing that there are new evidences, new guidelines appearing at the scientific level. So we try within our working team to update those guidelines. We also do try to update the guidelines in time, giving us support and having them available not only as a booklet, as it was in the very beginning, but now we also have digital guidelines, which are available on the website. And since very short, so last year, we also have it's not working, this thing, no problem. We also have an application, which is an application where available, you can download this application on your phone, and the advantage is the guidelines will be available everywhere you are in Belgium, also without any network or connection. Recommendations. I talk about recommendations for authorities and stakeholders. These are not recommendations about how to use antibiotics, which are specifically for veterinarians and students. These are recommendations about how can I improve, for example, the hygiene, the biosecurity, how can I improve the ventilation in my farm, what can I do concretely to, for example, avoid the use of antibiotics, which are human antibiotics. This is really a clear challenge in some sectors because, for example, we simply do not have so many antibiotics for the treatment of ocular infections in dogs and cats. So, yeah, we are facing challenges. We try to give recommendations about, for example, the use of colistin or the dry cow therapy in dairy cattle. These are just some examples. I was counting all the recommendations that we published in our website. I think we have kind of more than 20 different recommendations, mostly for food-producing animals, but also for companion animals. Then we have awareness-raising activities. Here also, a little bit like in the human sector, we work with leaflets, posters, videos. AMCRA is also very much going to meet people in the field. We are organizing trainings for farmers, for veterinarians, because we want to keep our feet on the ground and continue to have contact with those people in order to get also feedback from them about problems that we're facing daily. And then our vision plans with reduction targets and actions. The first plan we developed was in 2014. We called it AMCRA Vision 2020 with 3 very simple reduction targets about antibiotic sales, because on that time, 2014, we didn't have use data, we only had sales data of antibiotics in the animal sector. Later, we developed a second plan, the Vision 2024. There we included already some targets on antibiotic use. And this year we published the Vision 2030, so which is going until end of 2030. And there we have not 3, not 4, but 5 different reduction targets. Sales and use targets and actions for trying to get in there. So how do we do? So what are our results, or better, not all the results of AMCRA, but the results of the veterinary sector? If we look at the 4 targets which are now in our vision, and we look at the sales data, between 2011 and 2023, we see that we reduced the total sales of antibiotics with 62%. We reduced by 87% the use of colistin. We reduced by 86% the use of medicated feed with antibiotics, and about 75% the use of critical antibiotics, which are not the carbapenem or those kind of. These are only human use. And with the veterinary sector, critical antibiotics are cephalosporin of 3rd and 4th generation and quinolones. Okay, just to be clear. And then antibiotic use, as I told you, we didn't have use data before 18, so here are presented the results between 18 and 23. And as you can see, in all animal categories that are monitored, we see a nice reduction in the use. With one exception, the laying hens, where you see a huge increase, but I have to say, this is just concerning 30% of the laying hens production, because the other 70% are not using antibiotics. So 70% of the population do not use antibiotics. Between the 30% that are using, you see that the use is quite low, but still we see a lot of variation year per year. For those of you who want to have more information on sales and use of antibiotics in the veterinary sector, we have the Belgium report, and there you have a lot of details on the use of the active substances and so on. Concerning resistance, I like to use the figures coming from the Belgium report. So the antibiotic, again, these are just a couple of figures concerning the resistance in the animal sector. Antibiotic resistance from Escherichia coli in this case, with a primary and secondary indicator. Escherichia coli detected from the monitoring in food-producing animals, beef cattle, pigs, poultry, cows, and as you can see, we have as primary indicators multi-drug resistance strains and pan-sensitive strains. And what is good to notice is that in the 4 categories of animals that are followed up in this monitoring, there is a reduction, significant reduction of the multi-drug resistance, and there is an increase in the pump-sensitive strains. And for the secondary indicators, we see that we have 2 main big situations, beef, cattle and pigs with very low levels of resistance for the secondary indication, while we have poultry and veal cows with higher levels of resistance, but still we have positive results because we see that also for the ciprofloxacin resistance in poultry, we have a significant reduction in the prevalence of those strains. So yes, here also we see results that are comforting us, and we go in the right direction. I invite you to go and see the One Health report on NEO-AMR in Belgium, the Belmap report. The last report is from last year, 2023, and we do not have, it's a report where AMCRA is only contributing a small part, new in animals, but there is a huge collaboration among institutions in Belgium and the human part, veterinary part, and the environment sector. And you can find there, in fact, very nice results from all these sectors combined in one report, and it's also an interactive report. So for those of you who want to play also with the data, this is possible with this interactive report. And I thank you for your attention.